Thousands of Venezuelans take to the streets again today. They say their embattled president, Nicolas Maduro, has got to go. President Trump is voicing his support for the mass protests and the opposition leader, Juan Guaido. Correspondent Wyatt Goolsby reports from the State Department. Good evening, Wyatt.
Good evening, Lauren. The president spoke with Guaido on the phone today, telling him the U.S. supports Venezuela's fight for democracy. The White House and the State Department recognize Guaido as the country's interim president, but Maduro is not backing down. Venezuelans leaving their homes and offices across the capital city, Caracas, to demand socialist leader Nicolas Maduro give up his power. They chant phrases like free elections. The demonstration comes 1 week after opposition leader Juan Guaido declared himself president before thousands of supporters. He says he's the nation's rightful leader because Maduro's re-election was a sham. The 35-year-old Catholic saying the Maduro regime has stolen billions from the Venezuelan people to protect their own assets. Maduro making it a point to be seen today on TV with his biggest supporters, the military. The socialist president appears to make fun of National Security Advisor John Bolton, who was photographed carrying notes which suggest that 5,000 troops could be deployed to Venezuela's neighbor, Colombia. The Pentagon says that is not an official statement. But these Venezuelans who defected from the army say they would welcome U.S. troops. He says as soldiers, they're asking the U.S. to help with communication equipment and weapons to bolster democracy. Maduro is asking the American people in a video not to allow Venezuela to become another Vietnam. He says he's willing to meet with his opposition, but many are skeptical he will ever consider stepping down. The United States, Canada, and more than a dozen Latin American countries have recognized Guaido as the interim president of Venezuela. But Russia and China still support Maduro. Today's protest won't be the last. Another demonstration is scheduled for Saturday. Lauren?
And I see that Guaido is also talking about walkouts and encouraging people to do that. Wyatt, Pope Francis has still not taken a side in this conflict, and it's controversial about whether or not he should. But the bishops in Venezuela do support Guaido. Why do you believe the Pope has held back on joining the bishops?
Well, Lauren, some Vatican analysts believe Pope Francis is trying to protect all of the Catholic groups which are operating in the country, many of whom help the poor, the sick, and the people who have lost everything in the country's economic collapse. Now, many of these aid groups are worried they would be forced out or kicked out of the country if the Pope openly calls out the Maduro regime. Lauren?
I know. He also said he was worried about a bloodbath. Correspondent Wyatt Goolsby reporting from the State Department. Thank you, Wyatt.